for hospitals and for bakeries. And hundreds more trucks are getting in position as well, ready to enter Gaza over the coming days to support the innocent Palestinians.
To suffering they, their fellow veterans, or their fellow family members experience every day because of the injuries sustained because of the exposure to the toxins released at these burn pits.
For instance, the Brent Spence Bridge, which crosses the Ohio River connecting Connecticut and Kentucky, the event touting an infusion of repair money going to bridges, not people. Why is it going to bridges? I have no idea, everybody. We all have to blame it on President Biden because the focus of the White House and the GOP leadership on areas of bipartisan cooperation is a marked contrast to the House of Representatives, as they're still struggling to enact somebody to take charge. So what I want to say is that the infrastructure law put aside $100 billion for roads and bridges, and now rural broadband, ports, and other items are having some difficulties around us. For instance, this week's visit coincided with the announcement that approximately $2 billion of the money will be set aside for repairs in a large bridge program, which includes the Brent Spence Bridge and 3 other bills that the administration describes as some of America's most economically significant spans. Now, Kamala Harris also has visited Fort Drawbridge in the south side of Chicago near Illinois. She's talking about something about to repair these bridges, and Biden and other officials have also talked about lauding the importance of economic repairs for bridges in the business community. In total, the infrastructure law puts aside $40 billion for somebody to take care of this thing. Joe Biden has made several previous bridge visits during his time in office, including spans in Pennsylvania and New Hampshire, providing a visual reminder of the infrastructure money at work and with the economic consequences if despair had continued. So far, an infrastructure report card from the American Society of Civil Engineers put a spotlight on the overall problem. Of the more than 600,000 bridges in the United States, about 47,000 of them are classified as structurally deficient. The question remains just how much of the current efforts will resolve the overall problem. Civil engineers estimate
deposits of the economic impact payments appeared in some bank accounts 2 weeks ago. For those in poverty, though, bank accounts are a luxury they cannot afford. And that leaves the question, how do they get their money now? Jenna Cisneros reports.
Legal Aid Line, can I help you?
When it comes to stimulus checks and those in poverty, Regina Campbell doesn't know what to tell people to expect.
Shocking news has been released, and there are several new plans put together by Republicans and the Democrats, and they're trying to get things done for the American people. Now, there has been no shortage of Republican lawmakers bickering over Social Security in recent weeks because, as Republicans and Democrats have pointed out, fingers over which party wants to fix the program and which one wants to undermine it. Well, there are several problems with this. Because during a Senate Finance Committee hearing, the Senate Republicans accused the Treasury Secretary of lying about President Biden's willingness to work with lawmakers on Social Security reform. That followed a similar exchange between Republican Mitt Romney and Shalanda Young. Now, in this separate hearing, Romney said that she was simply wrong and not honest to suggest that current members of Congress want to cut off Social Security and Medicare. With so much hostility between the political parties, it's hard to see any hope of bipartisan Social Security reform that is. The only solution with even a whiff of bipartisan support is a proposal. Here is a ton of news about the fourth stimulus payments, Social Security benefits, SSI and SSDI. Continue watching this video because you don't want to miss out on this. The majority of Americans strongly support the federal government doing something for a fourth stimulus check, and there's 3 factors that we're going to go over in today's video. First of all, is whether Democrats and Republicans are going to find a way to get a bipartisan deal done on stimulus funds and for families. Republicans have not even been on board for another direct payment issue to most eligible adults. But a number of Republicans are in favor of expanding this child tax credit. And this has been a key priority for Democrats as well. Although there is a disagreement about how such a tax credit should be structured, it's possible from lawmakers both sides of the aisle that they will come together to find a compromise that will control Congress to split. So the Colorado senator has even asked one of the leading efforts in the Senate. He told CNN that Republican leaders decided to send a lump of coal to America's children last year, and we know that the most significant step Congress can take to help America's children is to support an expanded child tax credit. So when Congress took action on this in 2021, we cut child poverty in half in 2020. And so, as of right now, things will go back to the way they were before the American Rescue Plan, unless somebody does something for these stimulus payments. because now the IRS said it recently finished correcting tax returns for 2020, which included overpayments for unemployment benefits that worked and received last year. And this means that it issued already 12 million tax refunds as a result. So the average tax refund is around $1,200, with the agency sending a total of $15 billion to taxpayers. So it may not seem like a lot, but it is. And so what we mean by this is that the average tax refund is around $1,200, everybody. $1,232. So with the agency sending a total of $15 billion back to taxpayers, well, the IRS has said that taxpayers were sent letters from the IRS to inform them about fixes to their 2020 tax filings. So now the tax review came about during the American Rescue Plan. Yes, during the American Rescue Plan, about 14 million tax returns were collected and corrected, but the IRS issued 12 million refunds for those filings. That added, individuals married couples whose adjusted gross income was below 150 grand were also eligible to have some unemployment aid untaxed. And according to the IRS, taxpayers who are eligible for the exclusion and who haven't got a correction from the IRS may need to file an amended 2020 tax return to claim any refund. During his speech, McConnell said, "We all know inflation and the economy are the biggest problems facing Americans today. We are a big and a diverse country. 93% of Americans hardly ever agree on anything, but Democrats are unifying the country in unhappiness, at a dark path down which have taken our economy." McConnell once again blamed inflation on Congress, saying that last year, without a single Republican vote, the stimulus checks passed. McConnell warned that a budget reconciliation package under negotiation is going to put more pressure on the economy, citing more than $200 billion in tax increases. The package would include to extend the solvency of Medicare. McConnell told reporters business owners are watching apprehensively as Democrats debate another dose of bad policies. Now, you can expect a big stimulus check soon. Democrats and Republicans have officially signed into law legislation that is going to provide new stimulus checks to millions of low-income households with up to $1,000 in financial aid. Last year, the enhanced child tax credit provided millions of parents in the U.S. with financial relief. The last expanded child tax credit payment was dispersed in December, but the pause led to the increase in the number of children in poverty from 12.1% to 17%, also putting 3.7 million children below the poverty line. And now with inflation on the rise, plus a possible recession looming, several states and lawmakers are planning to send families with more money starting this year. 12 states are granting additional child tax credit to low-income families. Many families in need of extra money due to the cost of inflation will get $1,000 per child annually. Governor Phil Scott of Vermont has signed a new tax cut package that includes a statewide child tax credit for children to 5. The tax credit will phase out at a rate of $20 per every $1,000 earned over that threshold. The credit is fully refundable. The bill also allows for a fully refundable child independent care credit of 72% of the federal child independent care credit allowed to the taxpayer. It increases the earned income tax credit to 38% of the amount granted by the federal government and includes tax relief for student loan borrowers, retirees, and veterans. The final version of the $40 million bill allocates $32 million to pay for the new statewide child tax credit, which legislators estimate more than 30,000 Vermont children